Next on BGSU Brain Game, it is Stryker versus Hilltop. I must warn you, we may be in store for a mental meltdown. Only one team can leave victorious. Who's it going to be? Only one way to find out. BGSU's Brain Game starts right now. Welcome to BGSU Brain Game. It is Stryker versus Hilltop. These are close schools, so let's see what happens between these two teams. Stryker, tell us who you are.
I'm Caitlin, a junior. To my left is Austin, a sophomore, and to my right is Tara, a freshman.
Excellent. And Hilltop, tell us who you are.
I'm Ian. I'm a senior. To my left is Maggie, a sophomore, and to my right is Olivia, also a sophomore.
All right, Stryker, who's your coach?
Barb Yoder.
And Hilltop, who's your coach?
Abby Smith.
All right, welcome to both of our teams. This is our toss-up round. There are 10 questions in this round. There were 10 points apiece, and there is no deduction for an incorrect answer. So if you think you might know it, I say go for it. You may confer before buzzing in, and you can steal a question in this round. Stryker, Hilltop, here we go. A series of attacks by the Viet Cong on a number of South Vietnamese towns that began on January 31st, the first day of the Lunar New Year, were named after this Vietnamese holiday. These attacks were collectively known as what? That was known as the Tet Offensive. In the 19th century, many Americans believed that America was foreordained to extend its power from one end of the continent to the other. What was this belief called? Hilltop, Ian.
Manifest Destiny.
Correct. In the United States, this form of plastic surgery accounts for approximately 10% of procedures performed annually. Identify the name of this operation that involves a reshaping of the nose. Hilltop, Maggie.
Rhinoplasty.
Rhinoplasty is correct. This short story of a New England community where villagers come together each year with an air of excitement and festivity, but then a name is drawn from a hat and the stoning begins. Name this short story. The lottery, and that is a lottery you want to lose. Okay. This famous Renaissance painter was also an inventor. He drew plans for a flying machine that would be Stryker. Caitlin.
Leonardo da Vinci. Da
Vinci is correct. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS, is better known by this nickname. The nickname comes from the name of the young ball player who was struck down at the age, Hilltop, Ian.
Lou Gehrig's disease.
Lou Gehrig's disease, yes. Which founder of the Yuan dynasty oversaw the construction of his new capital at the site of what is now the city of Beijing? He was the fifth ruler of the Mongol Empire and reigned from 1260 to 1294. That would be Hilltop. Maggie.
Genghis Khan.
Incorrect. Stryker, would you like to steal? Time. Kublai Khan is what we needed there. Kublai Khan. General Erwin Rommel, who commanded German troops in Africa from 1941 to 1943, was admired by his friends as well as by his enemies for his successful surprise attacks. His success won him what nickname? That'd be Hilltop. Ian.
Desert Fox.
Desert Fox, yes. This state's bird is the roadrunner, and the state flower is the yucca flower. Tourist attractions in this state include White Sands National Monument and Carlsbad Caverns. Identify this state. That would be Stryker. Caitlin.
Utah.
Incorrect. Hilltop, would you like to steal? That would be Ian.
New Mexico.
New Mexico is correct. This French romantic Gothic novel, first published in 1831, was released as an animated film by Disney in 1996. Identify this work that includes the characters Claude Frollo, Captain, that would be Hilltop. Maggie.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Correct. That is all 10 questions in this round. Let's take a look at our score. We have Stryker at 10 points, and currently in the lead is Hilltop with 60 points. But stay tuned, our risk and reward round is coming up next. And welcome back to BGSU Brain Game. Stryker 10, Hilltop 60. Stryker, looks like you have shuffled the deck a little bit. Who is on your team now?
To my left is William, a senior, and to my right is Gavin, a freshman.
All right, welcome to you. Ian, who has joined your team, Hilltop.
To my right is Jimmy, a junior.
All right, welcome to our subs. This is our risk and reward round. Both of our teams will receive the same 9 questions. They're worth 10 points apiece. No deduction for an incorrect answer. Our 10th risk and reward question is optional. You may risk up to 10 points in 5-point increments on the topic of our mystery question. All right, let's take a look at our score. Stryker, since you have 10 points, Hilltop at 60. Hilltop, you will be sticking around. Stryker, it is now time for you to go to isolation. All right, Hilltop, are you ready for your risk and reward round? All right, questions start right now. In the J.M. Barrie play Peter Pan, who did the Lost Boys ask to sew them pockets? Did he get in time? He did get in time.
Tinkerbell.
Incorrect. Wendy is the one that did that. Known for his use of triangular shapes, including the East Building of the National Gallery of Art and the Louvre's Pyramid, this Chinese American also designed Cleveland's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Who is he? That would be Ian.
Ying.
Incorrect. I am Pei. After invading Italy in 312 and defeating Maxentius at the Milvian Bridge, which Roman emperor looked on as many of his defeated opponents drowned in the Tiber River as they tried to flee? That would be Ian.
Julius Caesar.
Incorrect. Constantine. Which science term begins with the letters IN, can designate the rapid expansion of the universe according to the Big Bang Theory, or in economics can describe a continuous rise in prices in a country's economy, lowering the purchasing power of the currency? That would be Ian.
Inflation.
Inflation is correct. Buried under Canada's boreal forests, these vast oil and sand deposits are located in the province of Alberta, Canada. Identify this rich region. Time. Athabasca oil sands is what we needed there. Which Corps of Discovery pair spent the winter of 1805 and 1806 at Fort Clatsop, Oregon, after their journey across central and northwestern United States? That would be Ian.
Lewis and Clark.
Lewis and Clark, correct. What part of speech can take on the form of a single word, a phrase, or a clause while modifying an adjective, a verb, or one of its like kind? That would be Ian.
Adverb.
That would be an adverb, yes. When two or more gears mesh together, what force that can change the speed of rotation is transmitted from one place to another? The correct response begins with the letter T. That would be Jimmy.
Transmission.
Incorrect. Torque is what we needed there. Torque. What Greek mathematician who supposedly cried Eureka and ran naked through the streets when he figured out how to accurately measure volume also derived an accurate approximation of pi? You get in time? He did not. Archimedes is what we needed there. All right, this is the risk and reward question. The topic is the brain. Would you like to risk some points, up to 30 points in 5-point increments, or would you like to pass?
No.
They're saying pass. All right, Hilltop, that is the end of the risk and reward round for you. It's now time for you to head off to isolation. Take them away, Maggie. All right, let's bring back in Stryker. All right, welcome back to you, Stryker. Are you ready for your risk and reward round?
Sure.
Here we go. In the J.M. Barrie play Peter Pan, who did the Lost Boys ask to sew them pockets? In time? Nope, that would be Wendy is what we were looking for there. Known for his use of triangular shapes, including the East Building of the National Gallery of Art and the Louvre's Pyramid, this Chinese American also designed Cleveland's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Who is he? Time. I.M. Pei is who we needed there. After invading Italy in 312 and defeating Maxentius at the Milvian Bridge, which Roman emperor looked on as many of his defeated opponents drown in the Tiber River as they tried to flee? Time. That would be Constantine. Which science term that begins with the letters I-N can designate the rapid expansion of the universe according to the Big Bang Theory, or in economics can describe a continuous rise in a country's economy, continuous rise in prices in a country's economy, lowering the purchasing power? That would be Gavin.
Inflation.
Inflation is correct. Buried under Canada's boreal forest, these vast oil and sand deposits are located in the province of Alberta, Canada. Identify this rich region. That would be the Athabasca oil sands. Which Corps of Discovery pair spent the winter of 1805 and 1806 at Fort Clatsop, Oregon, after their journey across central and northwestern United States? That would be Caitlin.
Lewis and Clark.
Lewis and Clark is correct. What part of speech can take on the form of a single word, a phrase, or a clause while modifying an adjective, a verb, or one of its like kind? Time. That would be an adverb. When two or more gears mesh together, what force that can change the speed of rotation is transmitted from one place to another? The correct response begins with the letter T. In time? No, that would be torque. Torque. What Greek mathematician who supposedly cried Eureka and ran naked through the streets when he figured out how to accurately measure volume also derived an accurate approximation of pi? That would be Caitlin.
Pythagoras.
Incorrect. Archimedes is what we needed there. All right, this is the risk and reward question. The topic is the brain. Stryker, you can risk up to 30 points in 5-point increments, or you can pass.
For 10.
They're going for 10 points. All right, Stryker for 10 points. Topic, the brain. Name the 3 major parts of the brain. Not in time. That would be the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. That is negative 10 points for you, Stryker. All right, that is the end of the risk and reward round for you. It is now time to clear our scores, and let's bring back Hilltop. All right, welcome back to you, Hilltop. Let's see where our teams stand. Hilltop chose to pass on the risk and reward question, and they stand at 90 points. Stryker went for it. They risked 10. Unfortunately, they got the risk and reward question wrong, and they stand at 20 points. All right. Well, the plot thickens, ladies and gentlemen. Still very much anybody's game, because coming up next is our category round where questions can be worth up to 30 points apiece. Things can change very, very quickly. Stay tuned. And welcome back to BGSU Brain Game. Stryker at 20, Hilltop at 90 points. Both of our teams have made some substitutions. Let's see who has joined the teams. Hilltop, Ian, who's joined your team?
To my right is Jaden. He's a junior.
And Stryker, looks like you've got a whole new lineup. Tell us who you are.
I'm Matthias. To my left is Daniela, a freshman. Oh, I'm a sophomore. And Alec, and to my right is Alex, sophomore as well.
All right, welcome to our new players and to both of our teams. This is our category round. Power shifts now a little bit to our teams. There are 6 categories to choose from. Inside each category are questions worth 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 points. However, I must warn you, deductions are starting now. That means if you go for 15, that means you're risking a deduction of 15 points as well. Inside in there, though, is a little bit of a reprieve. We do have a double or nothing question in there, and it is exactly what it sounds like. You may confer before buzzing in, and you can steal a question in this round. Stryker, since you are at 20 points, you will get to make the first selection.
Let's go for history for 20.
History for 20 points. What Mexican general defeated the Texans at the Alamo, but was later defeated by the U.S. during the Mexican War? That would be Hilltop. Ian?
Santa Ana.
Santa Ana is correct. Power shifts now to Hilltop.
Math for 30.
Math for 30 points. How many tablespoons make up 1 cup? That would be 16. Hilltop in control.
Let's go with math for 25.
Math now for 25. 1 metric ton is equal to how many kilograms? That would be Hilltop. Ian?
1,000.
1,000 is correct. Hilltop in control.
Physics for 30.
Physics for 30 points. Work is measured in units called what? That would be Stryker. Daniela?
Joules.
Joules is correct. Stryker takes back control.
Let's do physics for 25.
Physics for 25. In electricity, potential difference in charge between 2 points in an electrical field is also known by what term? Hilltop. Ian?
Poles.
Excuse me?
Poles.
Incorrect. Stryker, would you like to steal? That would be Matthias.
Amperage.
Incorrect. Voltage is what we needed there. Voltage. All right, Stryker in control. Selection, please.
History 15.
History for 15 points. This is our double or nothing question, open to both teams. Name of the Zeppelin lost in a fiery crash. That will be Hilltop. Ian?
Hindenburg.
The Hindenburg is correct. You get double the points. And control the board.
Let's go with grammar terms for 10.
Grammar terms for 10 points. A helping verb is also known as what? Not a friendly verb, but an auxiliary verb. Hilltop in control.
Chemistry for 10.
Chemistry for 10 points. A monatomic ion consists of how many atoms? That would be Hilltop. Ian?
1.
1 is correct. Hilltop in control.
Chemistry for 15.
Chemistry for 15 points. If a substance is anhydrous, what does it lack? That would be Hilltop. Maggie?
Water.
Water is correct. Hilltop still in control.
Physics for 20.
Physics for 20 points. The change in an object's position from its original reference point is known as what? That would be Stryker. Matthias?
Acceleration.
Incorrect. Hilltop, would you like to steal? That would be Ian.
Displacement.
Incorrect. Motion. Motion. Hilltop in control.
Math for 20.
Math for 20 points. Find the volume of water it would take to fill an aquarium measuring 3 feet by 2 feet by 5 feet. That would be Hilltop. Ian?
30 cubic feet.
Correct. Hilltop in control, putting on the gas.
History for 30.
History for 30 points. In what month did the assassination of Abraham Lincoln take place? It would be the month of April. Hilltop in control.
Grammar terms 15.
Grammar terms for 15 points. Except, without, and before are examples of what part of speech? That would be prepositions. In control is Hilltop. Your selection, please.
Physics for 10.
Physics for 10 points. Friction, gravity, and parallel are all types of what? That would be Hilltop. Ian?
Forces.
They are indeed forces. Hilltop in control.
Math for 10.
Math for 10 points. Find the least common multiple of 4 and 16. Hilltop. Ian?
16.
16 is correct. Hilltop in control.
Math for 15.
Math now for 15 points. What is the reference angle for an angle that measures 126.5 degrees? That would be 53.5 degrees. Hilltop, your choice.
History for 10.
History now for 10 points. Which 2 countries fought the 100 Years' War? That would be Stryker. Matthias?
England and France.
Correct. Stryker takes control.
History for 25.
History now for 25 points. What year did Amelia Earhart make her historic solo flight across the Atlantic? Time, 1932. That is the end of the round. Let's take a look at our score. Stryker currently at 15. Hilltop at 185 points. It's all going to come down now to the Brainstorm Round, where questions are worth 20 points apiece. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back to BGSU Brain Game. It is Stryker at 15 points and Hilltop currently in the lead with 185 points. Looks like we have some substitutions again. Hilltop, who has joined the team?
To my right is Olivia, a sophomore.
All right, welcome to you, Matthias, who's joined the team.
To my left, we have Austin Batterson, a sophomore. And to my right, we have Caitlin St. John, a freshman.
All right, welcome to all. All right, this is the Brainstorm Round. It all comes down to this. All the questions in this round are worth 20 points apiece, negative 20 points for an incorrect answer. You may confer before buzzing in, but there is no stealing. I repeat, there is no stealing a question in this round. We'll move immediately to the next question. Stryker, Hilltop, are you ready for your 3 minutes of brainstorm? Starts right now. Next to hydrogen, it is the lightest known gas. It is colorless, odorless, and tasteless. Name this element often used to inflate dirigible. That would be Stryker. Austin.
Helium.
Helium is correct. This man was the leader of the Cultural Revolution in post-war China. Name him. That would be Mao Zedong. What instrument usually sets the pitch in a symphony orchestra? That would be Hilltop. Olivia.
Tuba.
Incorrect. The oboe. What is the three-word economic term that describes the relationship between the amount of a product and the number of consumers? Hilltop. Ian.
Supply and demand.
Correct. This national park, often cited as one of the nation's best, is located just outside Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Hilltop. Maggie.
Smoky Mountains.
Smoky Mountains. Can we accept that? Yes, the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. When the moon is changing phases from the new moon to a full moon, what do we call this change? Stryker. Caitlin.
Waxing.
Waxing is correct. Of which state was Ronald Reagan governor? California. When an attorney agrees to take a case pro bono, what is he or she agreeing to do? That would be Hilltop. Ian.
Do it for free.
You got it. Work for free. Name the Egyptian god of mummification and the afterlife. Stryker. Matthias.
Horus.
Incorrect. Anubis. Name the only U.S. president to win a Pulitzer Prize for his book Profiles in Courage. That would be Hilltop. Olivia.
Eisenhower.
Incorrect. John F. Kennedy. On your paycheck stub, the box labeled FICA or FICA shows taxes you have paid to support what? That would be Hilltop. Ian.
Federal government.
Sort of, but not what we needed. We needed Social Security specifically. What literary device is used to point toward events that will happen later in, that will be Hilltop. Ian.
Foreshadowing.
It is indeed foreshadowing. Who presided over the Constitutional Convention? That would be George Washington. Is that the end of the round? That is the end of the round. Let's take a look at our scores. Stryker at 35. And our winner with 205 points is Hilltop. Let's give both these teams a big round of applause. Now, in the spirit of good sportsmanship, let's come around, meet in the middle. We'll shake hands, and we'll see you at the next BGSU Brain Game.